Hi guys and girls, I'm Obsidian Ant and welcome to Frostpunk. This is a city building survival game and it turns out that it's a pretty good combination. The game came out very recently, just a few weeks back actually, and it's been immensely popular. The idea is to build a new society in a time where the civilization of Earth has all but ended. The intro to the game gives you a brief overview of what has occurred. It's set in the late 19th century where Earth has begun to freeze. It's frozen to the point where no one can survive and many have died. The remaining populations decide to head north, where it's actually colder, so this point of the lore actually confuses me a little, but perhaps answering that point, the huge power generators built there for research purposes in the frozen wastelands of the north remain completely unused, and the people of London decide to head there and build a new city founded upon that technology. Hence, we have a play on the term steampunk in the title of the game, Frostpunk. So instead of giving a review here or anything like that, what I'm going to do is a bit of a playthrough. Let's see how it goes. So when you start out here, you can see you only have one option initially, and that's a new home where you can build a new city out here in a crater. But as you progress through the story, you get further unlocks, in this case the arcs on day 15, and a further scenario further into that with more on the way at a later point. So we're going to jump right now into a new home. And we start here in the crater with just a few people and a single lone generator. So here we are then, right at the start, to fight the cold. We need to get the generator working. It provides heat and power to other buildings. Without it, would freeze to death. Stockpile some coal and to start the generator. So of course, as we're starting out here, we get some basic tutorial elements and we'll quickly run through those. Well, not the tutorial itself, but we'll quickly run through the early part of the game and see how far we can get. Now the temperature up here is all important. We'll just pause it for a moment. And yes, minus 20 degrees, pretty darn cold, but it does get significantly colder. Over here we can see a timeline. That's day 2, day 3, day 4. We see the temperature is going to drop by 2 levels. Now as far as I've been able to tell, each level roughly equates to 10 degrees. So 2 levels drop will drop us down to 40 degrees centigrade, or minus 40 degrees centigrade. So if we click on that, or if we press O, we get a temperature overlay. We can see all the bodies here, the people. We've got 80 workers, I believe 65 of them, who are actual able-bodied workers. And the reason for that is that 15 are actually children. Now what you can do is send the children to work, or you can actually keep the children protected, and it's decisions like that which will affect the discontent. You can see here it's actually right down at 0, and the hope is pretty high. I guess the people, having found this area, are quite happy, and they feel hopeful for the future. So straight away, before we even go and do any of the resource gathering, we're going to look at the Book of Lore. And at the moment, we've got one Book of Lore for adaptation. Find ways to battle hunger, sickness, and apathy. Further into the game, a second book of lore will open up, and you can choose which that will be. You can have order, which will make your city a city of lore, and you can get pretty harsh with that actually. And the other book, which I haven't actually looked at yet because it was a choice of either or, you had to choose order or faith, and faith would open up you an entirely other set of laws. So maybe it's something I'll look at this time if I get far enough, but I'm not sure how far we'll be able to get through in this particular video. But at any rate, let's have a look here. So the first thing we want to do is actually nothing, I don't think. Children would be safer if they stay in shelters during the day and they won't cause any mischief. Now this is really good. If we sign this, hope will rise, but we will only have, I think, roughly a day or maybe 2 days to build the child shelter, and I don't want to no, excuse me. And I don't want to do that yet because my resources are non-existent. So let's actually do what we're meant to do and see if we can get some resources. What have we got? We got 30 lots of wood. So probably the best thing to do right now is build a few houses before nighttime comes and people get upset. Another option is to build the workshop, which allows us to start researching. So we'll have a look at the research tree in just a bit. And we've got a whole bunch of other things. So first things first then, let's send some people out here. So we've got wooden crates. You've got resources scattered around the crater. If we zoom out a little bit, we've got wooden crates, which I don't know where they've come from, but they seem to be left over from wreckage. And there's actual more wreckage here, which allows us to collect steel. And we've got some frozen trees. Now, as you can imagine, coal deposits up here, which are all important. Now, as you can imagine, or coal piles as well, which you can collect by hand. But as you can imagine, these resources are very important, and they do eventually dwindle. So whilst you can send people out to these places, like here, and make them collect wood, we can make them collect steel, make them collect more wood, and if we've got enough people, we go and make them collect some coal. And what else have we got? We'll make them collect some more coal as well. Oh, we've got some engineers, so they can go and pick up some coal as well for now. So all of this stuff gets picked up by hand, and there is limited supplies of it. 500 units of coal there, 60 units of steel, 120 units of trees. We'll let them run on as we're talking. But over here we've got trees. But we need to build a sawmill to start collecting these. But these are a greater resource, and they're at a slightly higher tech tier. And every so often, you get things like this come up, little notifications. So, a word of advice, workers needed. There's so much to do and not enough time to do it. A quick way of addressing this problem is to put our children to work. So we can open the Book of Laws, or we can say not now. So we're going to go straight to where I was showing you a moment ago. And we can choose. We can say, look, let's put our children to work, but only in safe jobs. So places like the cookhouse or the hothouse. Or let's keep children in shelters so that they're protected. Now, this is the route I went the first time, and we know who wants to send children to work. It does unlock other options here. And putting children in shelter, look, will raise hope, and providing all children with a place in a child shelter gives a permanent hope bonus, which is pretty good. But I will have to build a child shelter. Now, this time, I want to try things a little bit different. I'm going to choose the rather unpleasant route of sending the kids to work. So if there aren't enough hands to do all the work, we'll allow children to be employed in safe workplaces like cookhouses or hothouses. After introducing this law, another one can be passed 18 hours later, so you can't expand through all these laws instantly. It does take time, and they will branch out into different trees. So the children will be able to work in safe places, hope would fall slightly, and children workers could be injured in accidents, which would would be very unfortunate, wouldn't it? So let's sign that.
Hear me, new law in the city.
So it doesn't look like hope has dropped too much, at least not yet, and already the workers are going out. There's a very nice little graphical effect here, as you can see them pushing their way through the snow. And very slowly but surely, those pathways will refill in with snow again eventually. But they're going to collect the resources that I've requested them to collect. So meanwhile, what we're going to do is we're going to build some houses. Now everything's built around the generator. This is the central part of your city. The generator is very, very important, currently inoperative, and if we bring up the temperature display again, you can see that everything is chilly around here. So what will happen is when the generator comes online, it will increase the temperature around here, and you do have multiple levels which can churn out ever increasing amounts of heat as well as ever increasing ranges of heat. By range, it means that around here we've got a relatively low area of which this generator will heat up, roughly around that sort of circle, and as you increase the range, it will fill up more and more of the crater. But again, that all costs research and resources. So let's build. I'm going to put some tents out because we've got 80 people that are unhomed. That means we need 8 lots of tents, because each set of tents can house 10 people. So we've only got enough. Oh no, we're collecting the wood. So we're going to keep building. And at this stage, it's not a bad idea to... there we go. It's not a bad idea to keep them all relatively central. But you do need to keep in mind future buildings. There's things like watchtowers, guardhouses, and other things that have an area effect bonus. And you need to be able to install them in areas which will be able to watch over these houses. And I sort of messed up with that previously. Essentially, if you don't leave enough room to input buildings later on, you can't gain from their effect bonus, area effect bonus over the areas that we're building. Right, so the other thing we're going to want to do is build a workshop. And yep, we have got enough for that, so we're going to stick the workshop, stick that out here, I think. It doesn't need to be super warm. The workshop does need engineers working on it. And you can see that they have a construction progress bar. We can actually accelerate time up, either with the keys here, or with the keys on the keyboard, the plus and minus keys. And look at them holding the coal back into the resource depots. So there is a capacity here, as you can see. They say at the current rate, coal is going to last 240 days. I don't really know. 240 days to use it up, or 240 days to, well, whatever. Anyway, we can now turn the generator on. And there we go. Fire at the top. The generator hums with a reassuring warmth, but we shouldn't take it for granted. If the generator goes down, the city dies. Be mindful of cold reserves. Now food. There'll be no city if we starve to death. Secure a way to provide raw food and build a cookhouse to prepare meals. So, raw food. This comes in the tabs here. This is our construction menu, by the way. We've got people stuff. We've got health stuff. We've got food stuff, resources, and tech. Now, you will get additional tabs as we progress through the game as well. So for now, we need a hunter's hut. Hunters go out and gather, and I'm just trying to think how far away we want to put them from. I'm going to try and put all the working buildings along this sort of way, I think. Last time I cycled them around here, but you lose the stuff for your housing. It's nice to try and keep that central. Whilst of course you want worker rooms to stay warm, they're not as important to keep warm as houses, although you will eventually get people becoming ill and they get frostbite, and that eventually means they have to have amputations, and that's from their workplaces being too cold. So you do need to keep those warm as well. But for now we're going to put food in here. That's a hunter's hut, and we want 2 of these, I think. So let's put another one right there in the middle. And the cookhouse, which we haven't got enough wood for just yet. But hopefully, nope, as I was about to say, hopefully we get enough wood before the time ends. But days ended and we've only got 17 wood, so we're not going to be able to build the cookhouse for tonight, meaning that people are going to go hungry for this particular night. But there we go. So as time progresses on, we can see it's getting ever closer to the point when we can sign another order. Meanwhile, even though it is out of hours, the workers are building the buildings that they need to be building. And we can start putting engineers in here. So over here, we've got a list of our workers, and it actually highlights them as, if we zoom out a little bit, we can see it highlights them as we scroll over these. So we can see where our engineers are, and we can see where our workers are, and we can see where the kids are. Unfortunately, or fortunately perhaps, the kids can't work in the workshop, but that's where the inventors go, so I guess that kind of makes sense. But we need to reduce down. Oh look, we can send some children over to the coal piles. Not so fair for them because that's fairly cold work, but there we go. So we put the engineers into the workshop, and this opens up the research. Of course, they only start researching between the hours of 8 AM and 6 PM. After that, the research queue actually stops, and unfortunately, for the factory, or for the workshop at least, there's no way of changing that. But let's see what we want to do. So, put some heaters in. Heaters allows us to use heaters to heat the workplaces during working hours. Each heater raises the workplace's temperature by 1 level. Right, so that's something I should have used before. It's actually something I didn't research. I did a lot of other research. As you're going on, you find things that actually work and other things that you may prefer to use. A beacon, we come to that in a little while. Let's go for faster gathering at the moment though. The discontent is actually increasing, and that's because they've got a lack of shelter, but they really need to get their act together and start building a little bit faster, because there's no reason for them not to have shelter. And of course they're soon going to get the hump because they can't eat raw food. Another very important resource up here are steam cores. These that you repair things like the generator if it becomes damaged, but they're very, very rare, and you can find them on expeditions, exploration expeditions, as you send out scouts. But they're a rare resource, and they're used for some of the more important buildings that come later on in the game. But for now, hopefully we can keep a hold of these. Right, so now we can see we've got our hunter's hut up and working, and we've got another hunter's hut up and working. Unfortunately, we haven't got enough workers to fulfill all of these, so we're going to take 5 out of that pile and we'll replace them with children, and we'll take 5 out of that pile and we'll also replace that with children, and then we can put some workers in here. Now what happens is that the hunters got slightly different working hours. They're 6 p.m. to 6 a.m, so they only go out in the evening. But we do actually need to connect these huts up with a road, and we're going to do that right there. Okay, otherwise I guess no one can get to them. I don't really know why they can't get to them when they can push through snow, but it's all the process of building a city. So if we bring up V, or we press economy here, we can see how we're doing in terms of our resources. So we've got a number of coal piles. Only one of them is fully active, another one is partially active, and after we've done them we can actually progress through consuming the resources out of these. It's actually telling us that the amount of coal that we're consuming per day is 144, but we're actually gaining 240, so we're alright there. Food consumption is a problem, obviously, because we've got no cookhouse. Health will be a problem, although not just yet. We need to build some medical facilities, and we can actually go through each of the stats in turn here to see how it affects every element of our society. Housing conditions, these are tents, comfortable at the moment, and you can build bunkhouses and eventually houses, but you do have to research those, and naturally they do take on more resources. And again, other resources, so look at that, we can view our history here, which is quite a nice little touch as well. So let's go back to here, and we can see the wood crates we've got available. 2 wood crates fully active, and 1 still wreckage fully active, and then more to use later on. So for now we're doing quite okay, and we're going to speed up the time again just to get through the evening or through the night. It'll be okay for a little while when it comes to not eating, but that won't last too long. So over here you may have seen the little icon come up. It gives us new tutorials, and these are pretty nice, so it gives us everything we need to know about playing the game. And the one that it always brings up context sensitive stuff. It just brought up one for health, so illness and healthcare. Cold homes or workplaces cause people to get sick. Without proper care, they can become gravely ill and might die. The sick can be treated in medical posts, but the gravely ill need an infirmary to be treated. Until you build one, you can save their lives by signing one of 2 laws. The radical treatment law allows you to treat gravely ill people in medical posts, but some of them will be left as amputees. The sustained life law allows you to keep the gravely ill alive but untreated in medical posts or at care houses. So let's have a look. We haven't got enough wood, unfortunately, at least not until the working day starts, at which point we can build a medical post. And we've got some very nice graphics here. I do think the buildings are very nicely realised. There's a workshop, and we should be able to see here the workers going out and collecting the food. None there, unfortunately, so it's something we are going to have to sort out, but for the moment at least we're very limited when it comes to our workers. So we can sign a new law. Child labour, all jobs. Right. We need all available hands to work if we're to survive. We'll allow children to be employed wherever they can help, no matter the risk. Children can be employed in most workplaces. Hope will fall, discontent will rise slightly. Children, not workers, can be injured or die in accidents. So not particularly pleasant. And then we can look at one of these treatment options, but I'm going to choose the unpleasant option.
Hear me. New law.
That's terrible. Have we really no other choice? Temporary modifiers. So 2 controversial laws. Discontent, again a temporary modifier, so discontent will increase at any rate. So, yeah. Once we get to 8 o'clock, the workshop will start going into effect, and we should start seeing our workers go out, I believe at 7 AM to start collecting work. And I'm going to click on that just so we can get rid of it. Oh no, it hasn't gone. I guess it will go in time. So let's speed up time a little bit faster this time. And they're rushing off to work. And you can see that the workshop is now under power. And they're researching. Okay, not much else I can do at the moment. Haven't got any spare workers, unfortunately. So it's all about resources. Very, very important here. I could actually ease off a little bit on some of the coal gathering. So we'll take the children off of that. And take the workers off of that. Let's have a look again. Now we're slightly under, so we probably have to fill up this one, I guess. Are we okay there? Yeah, we're just about okay there, but that gives us another 5 workers, and we can put them in one of these huts, I guess. Or at least, maybe. So the thing is that these huts only work in the evening, so it's best to keep them empty during the day and fill them up during the evening, but that's as long as you actually remember to do that. So let's send them out to collect these crates instead. There should be some more wooden crates somewhere. I'll go over there and we'll take them as well, as long as I remember to put people back there in the evening, otherwise we're not going to have any food. So we can now build, say, a medical outpost. Now these do need the heat, and again I started midway around. I should have actually started tucked up here. As you can see, I've wasted a lot of air space, and that was a big mistake. I should have actually put the first building tucked up against the resource gathering hut there, or the stockpile. So a woman came forward after we built the workshop. She said that her husband and daughter didn't reach the city with the main group, but she's sure they're still out there. She wants to join the first scout team we'll send out. She urges you to hurry. We'll do what we can. And what have we got going on over here? Child injured at work. Child got distracted at work and has been injured. The accident was not serious and happened entirely due to the child's carelessness. Give the kid a day off. Let's give the kid a day off. Right, so a little bit annoyed about the way I built this here. Like I say, complete waste of space. One way of fixing it, I suppose, would be to dismantle that house and place a house here. No, it's not going to fix anything, is it? We're still left with the same problem, so let's cancel that. And we'll put in here the medical outpost on this side. So not too much space wasted, but more than I would like. So one other thing we want is a, if I can show you, is a beacon. So we can start researching that as soon as we've researched the faster gathering. But that's about 58% complete, so it's going to be a little while. Let's speed up time. Be very aware that night time will fall very quickly, and we need to move our workers over to the gathering huts again. So faster gathering is now researched, and we're going to create a beacon. That will give us a new building option under here, which is what we want. And our resources are slowly going up. We're not doing too bad. But food, again, is something I really do need to watch. So, let's have a cookhouse. Put the cookhouse right there, I think. They're starting to get away from the warmer area, but not too bad until we get our temperature drop. Unfortunately, I should have built the cookhouse very early on, because we're going to go another day without food. Did I actually dismantle that house in the end? Looks like I did, doesn't it? Let's put another one in there anyway. Okay, so it's a race to see whether the cookhouse... Nope, the cookhouse is not going to get people from our convoy. With basic resources secured for now, we can try and rescue the people we left behind, build a beacon, scout Frostland, and save as many survivors from our expedition as possible. You'll need a workshop to design plans for more advanced buildings, so we've already done that. That's not a problem. And over here we get a little checklist, and sometimes there's a timer on these for when we need to complete them without granting any sort of dissatisfaction to the people. So we're slowly burning through the night here. Rather rapidly burning through the night. What are these people? A mother has refused to let her daughter go to work, afraid she'd get injured. We could go look for her. We could look the other way this time, but others might see it as unfair. Let her have a day off. We won't make an exception. Probably raise discontent, I don't know. But like I say, last time I didn't go that way. Last time I made sure all the children were safe. But right, so why have we got so many? Oh, I didn't. Damn it. I didn't send the workers into the hut here, did I, for the evening? Never mind. That's something we'll have to do later on. But for now, at least, we've got food that can be cooked, so... And that's one of always the risks of pulling the workers away from the hunters' huts and putting them out here. There's always the chance you'll forget to send them back out when the time comes. Okay, so not worth putting them in there for now. Let's see what happens with the worker numbers once the working time comes around. Okay, so we can actually send these people out to collect some other resources. I guess, where are they all? Why have we got people out of work? It's because we picked up or most of the resources. So let's put some workers there, and let's put some... What have we got here? Have we got any more crates? Yes, we don't want to run out of wood, because without wood we can't build anything. We've still got a few workers spare, which is quite nice. Which means that we can put some workers in the medical post and start treating the people here that are not very well. So very soon we're about to build this beacon. But before we do that, let's have a look at what else we want to research. Okay, so we're going to upgrade here, unlock tier 2 technology, and that applies right across the board, because otherwise we're not going to be able to do too much else. Although we could do with some coal thumpers and sawmills, but at the moment we're doing alright for resources, so I want to get that done as quick as we can. Still got 10 workers available, so question is, where do we put them? Let's put some more out on the resources there, and yeah, that's another thing there. I'll show you that in just a second. Put some out to there. So you might have seen a person's name just come up. You can actually click on each individual person. There we go. Helen Ramsden. So biggest concern, everything's fine. Activity. Carrying resources. Got a very low risk of getting ill. She's got a home, and she's got a workplace, and she's got a child, and there's a spouse. So you can actually look up on all the people you've got, and as you go through the game you end up with many hundreds of these, and these are all individually tracked. In fact, you can actually see them on one of these charts, I do believe. Or maybe not. Yeah, there we go. You can see all the people that live in a house, or you can see all the people that work in a particular building. So one of the laws here I would like to sign in, once we get round to it, is emergency shift, and then the one up there, which we can't quite see yet, this we can, is an extended shift, which means we can tell people they've got to work a little bit longer and a little bit harder. So we mustn't forget here, we've run out of raw food, so we mustn't forget to sort that out when the time comes. And unfortunately we're getting very close to when the temperature's going to drop, which might start causing us some problems, as we haven't got all the resources we need to deal with that. But it's a choice at this early on in the game. You need to choose the buildings and the resources that you think make sense at this particular stage. So the cookhouse is flashing because it's run out of resources, we know that, but very soon we're going to have to put some workers in there. And the other thing I nearly forgot is tech. We want to build a beacon. We're going to put that right there. And again we need to put a road or a pathway there for that. So the beacon is for explorers, and it actually opens up an entirely new area of the game, so we'll be able to see that in just a bit. But unfortunately it does need 10 workers to convert them into explorers. Now that coal pile is depleted, which means we've freed up some workers. We can put them there instead. And we're very close to being able to sign in a new law. Let's speed up some time a bit. And sometimes I put it on pause and I forget it's actually paused. Come on, hurry up. Right, let's put another law into effect. At the moment we don't have to worry too much about death, but that's going to become a problem very, very soon. But for now, we're going to sign in an emergency shift law, which people are not going to like. But it is what it is. We get very close to a temperature drop in. The next thing we're going to want to do is research the steam hub, so we can start spreading the heat a little bit more around here. Fortunately though, you can see that the workers have now stopped researching. You can build another research or another workshop, which I believe increases the speed of research. I did have a couple of these previously. Right, so what we're going to do is move the workers from there, remove the workers from these other places. As long as we remember to put them back in there again though, and they will go out and get some food. Beacon build. We're no longer lost and blind. From now on our people will be able to survey the icy barrens that surround us, the frost blind. And up goes the beacon. So there's various stages where the game unlocks new types of content. One of the first is the new map here. We can send out expeditions. Later, we can send out people to create new outposts on the overmap here. And further still, or somewhere in between those two, you get a new kind of resistance growing against you called the Londoners, where people want to abandon the city. And you've got to try and keep things all balanced and all keep your people happy basically, so that they don't leave and return to London. So, Lost Expedition. Numerous tents, we can see people moving about. They must be lost members of our expedition, or we got a gloomy cave. Now I'm going to send people over here. Send the oh, I can't send them because I haven't got any. So let's create some new people here. Again, it means taking workers away from certain resources, which might not necessarily be what you want, but we can now create some scouts, but we need to use 10 workers in order to do that, I believe. And we can now send them out to the Lost Expedition here, which is just as well because there will be some people there to bring back. And it's going to take them 10 hours and 40 minutes to get out there and do that. What's going on here? The people cheer as the giant observation balloon soars above the city. This is a real feat. Everyone feels proud of the work they've done to make it happen. Volunteers have lifted up. Volunteers, rather, have lined up, eager to go looking for lost people in the Frostland. The woman who came forward earlier is among them. Yes, we need a win. Okay, so hopefully we're doing alright in terms of food gathering here. I don't know if they'll be able to bring back the full amount overnight because I did start them working a little bit late. But that is what it is. And I suspect it's going to be a good idea to build a few houses now. Let's put these in because we're going to have... oh, we've run out of resources, unfortunately. Because we're going to have other people returning very soon. So I want to plan ahead and get the houses already in place. And we're going to accelerate things up to maximum time speed now. And you can see that's quite handy for this. Just wish these guys worked at night. Whilst you can change the shifts, let's have a look. We can only apply it to certain buildings, none of which I've actually got at the moment. Let's speed it back up again. So burning through our coal here, and we're going to have to get them out to work again in the morning. So now we're heading for trouble lock. The temperature's dropping, it's going to get to minus 40, and we haven't got all the heating elements that we actually need to resist that just yet. And I'm running low on workers. Let's have a look if we've got enough coal coming in. We've got enough coal coming in, but one of those houses is cold, and that's not what we want. You can see the people have got an increased risk of getting ill. So we've got two options here. What we can do is switch the generator into overdrive, or we can, which will, I think that increases the amount of coal we use. I don't actually know, but it does stress the generator, and I actually broke a generator doing that previously. So they're not too worried at the moment. It's just chilly rather than freezing. So hopefully when this hurries up we can build the steam hubs. And let's have a look what these guys have found. So the rest of our people made a camp here, too exhausted to go on. We should escort them to the city. Explore. We enter a camp, appearing out of the driving snow. A choir of excited voices welcomes us. Thank God you found us. We'd been wondering for days until we couldn't go on any longer. Soon we'd begin to starve. Children and adults surround us, packed and ready to go. Sites discovered. Observatory and a sturdy shelter. So we can actually send the survivors home. The survivors will set out towards the city on their own, but it will take longer and some of them may die. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually bring them back. And what you'll notice is there's now other areas here. We had the gloomy cave, which we had earlier, but we now have got the observatory and the sturdy shelter, and we can have a look further around this map. As our scouts progress further out, there becomes ever increasing new things to find, including, well, I don't really want to spoil it too much, but there's quite a bit of story and a background and lore going on in the things you discover. I hope I don't freeze to death on my duty. Well, unfortunately, there's a chance that you may well. It's very cold out there. But right now, there's not a lot I can do about that. The option would have been, of course, to have built and researched the heat generators early on, but I wanted to gather resources before I actually did that. Right, so what's going on here? Double rations for kids. In the wake of recent child workers' accident, the parents argue that we could give working children double rations to make them stronger and help prevent injuries. Help them prevent injuries, rather. Afraid not. Right, drawing boards of research. We can now research tier 1 technology, which is handy. And oh, do we want to research the steam hub or do we want to research the generator upgrade? That's it. I'm going to go for the steam hub right now. It's getting very close to when we can put in another new law, which I'm very pleased about. There we go. And we're going to go for the extended shift. So you can now see I've got a little checkbox here. I can increase the hours for the cookhouse, but and I can increase the hours for the workshop as well, which is something I'm definitely going to do. That will increase discontent, but it does make a difference. So we've got a little while until the temperature goes up, but it's only going to go up by 1 level, meaning it'll go to 30 degrees. And these people are not too happy about the amount of hours they got to work. But if they want to live, that's what they've got to put up with. And the other people are coming back very, very soon. One of our people has become gravely ill due to frostbite. Yet we must do something. But I can't sign the radical law treatment into effect because we can't sign any new law just yet. But unfortunate. Let's try and get these. Come on, let's try and get. Scouts have returned safely. What did we get? We've got 10 new engineers, 2 new children, and 22 new workers. And here they all come. Hopefully we can give them a decent home here, eh? We're going to put them to work, especially the children. It's heartwarming to see families reunited after so many hardships, but shouldn't there be other settlements nearby? The first expeditions left London long ago, and they ought to be well established by now. They'll surely help us find our footing. We look for others. Okay, so we've got homeless people, I believe, at the moment, haven't we? 25. So that means 3 new houses, as they can now hold 10 each. It also means that we're going to need to do something about food and potentially some of these resources, but we're going to send everyone to work at these places now, which means consuming up all the available resources. And we're going to need to think about having proper buildings out here. Our people found a trail leading into the wilderness. We should follow it. We must find other people and ask them for help to secure our survival. Okay. Yeah, I forgot to actually send them out. So we'll send them to the sturdy shelter. They can go there, and they're going to take 21 hours to get there. So again, of course, as they get further and further away, it takes them progressively longer to actually reach their destination. But you can research things that will help with that, I believe. How is coal doing? We're doing very good with our coal collection, which means we can... Oh, we can't. I wanted to switch this up to level 2, but we can't. I'm going to put it into overdrive for a very little while. And we've got a thermometer here, so we're going to have to keep an eye on that so that we don't actually bust anything. And we should be able to see that things slowly improving around here. Or so I believe. Perhaps it's improved already. Okay, wood crate depleted. We need to see what other ones there are. There isn't any other wood crates, which means we're going to need to start researching the resource buildings right about now. Assuming we've got enough wood to actually begin the research. So, resources, sawmill. Only takes 10 trees to research that, fortunately. And we've got a few workers left over. Oh no, there is some more wood crates. Let's put the people over there for that. How are we doing with food, by the way? Well, that's not right, because there's people... I've got workers in both the huts here. Let's put 5 less on that. And put some more in there. Right, so where do we want these is the question. I'll put one right Right there. And we'll put another one over here. If we can extend the roadway out first. They actually need to be put onto roads. Or junctions, I believe. Okay. So these... yeah, they need to be on little junctions. But you can see they have an area effect of where they heat up. We can actually put them all the way out here and help with the resource collecting. But as we've got so many resource collecting nodes, I don't really want to waste too much time doing that. So we're going to go a few more minutes, I think. We'll see what happens when we get the sawmill, and you can see a nice little effect here of that snow actually melting thanks to the heat generators. There we go. Why have we got 5 people homeless? Oh, because I forgot to build a road there. So food is going to be a problem very, very soon, which means we do need to build another hunter's hut. We can actually research better food technology here. There we go. So we can do hunter's gear, which will increase the amount of food they can actually collect. Increase it by 5 per hut. And we can buy research hunting tactics, and then flying hunters at tier 2, but we're a ways off from doing that. But let's just see that sawmill in action, I think, and it will at least give us some indication of whether we're doing any good and whether or not we can actually survive. Book of Lore, what are we going to research this time? So we are going to put the radical treatment into effect. Unfortunately, it means people are going to get their limbs chopped off, but at least it saves their lives, I guess. Sawmill research. Now you can see here we're getting more and more people getting sick, and that's because of the temperature here and the lack of heat I've actually got. We don't want that. What we want is the sawmill. I don't think I've got enough resources to actually build it yet, have I? Oh no, we have. So this actually has got another area effect of covering the area of where it can collect. Building here will block place for an important facility. But you can see it actually collects. Building will destroy resources. Building here will destroy resource sources, not adjacent to the street. So we've got to try and stick this in without losing too much in the way of resources. So the ones that are red we're actually going to lose, and I don't want to lose too much of these. Maybe we can actually put it there. That looks like a good spot, doesn't it? Right, there we go. So all the trees that are in green are the ones that we will be able to collect in on. And let's put the road in, I guess. And let's set the next research task into action. Do we want food or do we want... I think we need food. Oh nope, need a few more trees for that. Come on, let's get those 10 trees. And we got those 10 trees. And before we do that, let's have a look at what the scouts have found. The shelter is well supplied and built to withstand even the worst weather. An advanced steamer heating system protects it from the cold. And what's handy there is that we can actually... The shelter is comfortable and well equipped with emergency supplies. There's a notice posted by the heavy round door. To all scientists, if you use any supplies, remember to notify the quartermaster upon your return to the city. This means that there's another city out there. A signpost by the trail points in 2 directions. London, 1,934 miles. Home, 27 miles. Sites discovered the steel bridge, so I'm going to take the resources there, which gives us another steam core, which is very nice, and we're going to send these guys on the way to the steel bridge. And did I start that? Yep, now we start that, and I think that is as good a place as any to leave things for today. Maybe we'll pick up from here in another video, but I think it's a good overview and it lets you know what this game is all about and gives you a bit of insight into how it actually plays. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.